Hello students, today's lesson 4.1 will be going over angles formed by intersecting lines. So when we have two lines that cross, what we have are what we're going to talk about are called vertical angles. So the vertical angles are the angles that are on opposite. So vertical angles would be like angle 1 and 2, or we could say angles 3 and 4 would be what we call vertical angles. They're an opposite to one another on them. So you have vertical angles. The other thing that we have a review of is what we call a linear pair. So our vertical angles would be 1 and 2, and our linear pair would be like 1, angle 1, and angle 4. That would be a linear pair. Or you could do 2 and 4. Or you could do 2 and 3 or 1 and 3. But if I had these two angles, combine this one with this one, and what I end up getting is this straight line. And so it gives us a line. So we call that a linear pair. Now, vertical angles are congruent to one another. So we could say angle 1 is equal to angle 2. And so is angle 3. Angle 3 would be congruent to angle 4. A linear pair means these two angles would add to 180. So we could add these angles, and they would equal 180. So when we come down here, we want to solve for angle 6. Well, I look at angle 6, this angle here, and this angle are vertical angles. So angle 6 would equal 146 degrees. If I look at 5 and 7 are right here. They're vertical angles, so they're going to be congruent to one another. So I know they'll be equal to each other. But in order for me to get them, I need to know that, like, I could say that angle. So I could say angle 5 plus 146 degrees equals 180. Or I could have said angle 7 plus 146. So we just subtract the 146, and we get angle 5 is equal to 34 degrees. If angle 5 is 34 degrees, angle 7 will equal 34 degrees as well because they're vertical. It says the measure of two vertical angles are 58. So if I were to just draw it, they just say, hey, two vertical angles. Vertical angles are, if I draw two lines that intersect, they're opposite of one another. So 3x plus 4. And what our rule is we know the vertical angles are congruent. So we would just say 58 is equal to 3x plus 4. And then we solve for that. So we'd subtract 4. 54 equals 3x. Divide by 3. And 18 equals x. Just be careful. It doesn't ask on this, but sometimes they'll ask for the angle. If we go to then B says 2. Again, two vertical angles are given by the expression. So again, if I were to draw this picture, I could put it up here, x plus 3. And it doesn't matter if I put it here, but they're vertical. And again, what we know about vertical angles is that they are congruent. So I draw my line. I want to get the x's on the same side. So I'm going to move the smallest x by subtracting it. So I have 3 is equal to 2 minus 1 is 1x, or I could just say 1. I would add 7. And 10 is equal to x. So that says find the value of x, did that. Now it says find the measure of each of these angles. So now I just plug in 10 in for it. So I could say 10 plus 3 is 13 degrees. And understand the vertical angles, so they'd be the same, but I could have also gone 2 times 10 minus 7. So that would be 20 minus 7, which gives me 13 degrees. So the angle would be 13. So then what we look at here is we say, okay, a couple things I want to point out to you. So if I said R, BFC, B, angle B, FC, and D, F, angle DFE, okay, are these vertical? So I go ahead and I look at it, okay? BCF is this angle right here. And then I have DFE, so D to F to E. Well, see how I don't get, and I'll change the color of this one, but see how I don't get two lines? So here I have a line coming through here, but this one, okay, this line comes through here, so I have this line, but I also have this third line. So these are not vertical as I look at it. So I just want to understand, so those wouldn't be vertical. Angles that would be vertical to it is if I went like this, DEF, and this angle right here. See, now I have two lines, BFA and DFE. These are vertical angles. So just point those out to you. We can also have a linear pair if they form a line as well. So we'll go to what they ask. They say, all right, find the measures of AFC, so A to F to C. So AFC, we want that angle. Well, what I noticed right here is that AFD, okay, if I were to complete it, this angle and this angle, they're supplementary, or they form a linear pair. It means they add to 180. So I know that this whole side over here is 90 degrees because this side is 90 degrees. So when it says, okay, what's the measure of AFC? Angle AFC would be 90 degrees. Then they say, what's the measure? Now we'll go through here. What's the measure of AFB? So A to F to B. We want to know this angle. Well, we know the whole angle is 90, and we know this part's 50. So we know the angle AFB is equal to 40 degrees. If they come down to this one, and they say, what's the measure of DFE and AFE? So I'm going to erase this now. So we want to know what's the measure of DFE. Well, remember, this angle is 40 degrees. So if I look at those two angles right now, those are vertical angles. So angle DFE is 40 degrees. All right, so now we got this one. This is 40 degrees. So then the next thing they say is, what's the measure of AFE? A to F to E. Well, if I look at this angle, AFE, and this angle, what do they form? They form a linear pair. So AFE would equal 180 minus 40. So angle AFE is equal to 140 degrees. So next we go through is supplementary and complementary. So supplementary angle or complementary angles add to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles, right there, these add to 180. So again, complementary angles add to 90 degrees. Supplementary angles equal 180. So when they come here, the measure of an angle is equal to the measure of its complement. Complement means we are working with a 90-degree angle. So it says, okay, we have two angles in here, and I just draw some line. Doesn't matter. It says the measure of an angle, some angle, is equal to. Equal means the same. So I would go like this, to the measure of its complement. So now we can write an equation. X plus X equals 90 degrees. So 1 plus 1 is 2x. And then divide by 2. And x is equal to 45 degrees. So each angle is 45. So then it says the measure of its complement, or complement supplement. Supplement means they add to 180. So supplement right there, that means 180. The measure of an angle, so I'm going to draw a line. Supplement means this. The measure of an angle, some angle, x, we'll call it x, is twice, 2 times, the measure of its supplement. And so now I know if I add these two together, I'm going to get 180 degrees. So we say 2x plus 1x is 3x. And divide by 3. X is equal to 60 degrees. Now, that's the measure of this angle, but the measure, they say, the measure of an angle is twice. We want the one that's twice as big. So we really want this one. So our answer actually would be that the angle is 120 degrees, 2 times 60. The last thing just to point out to you, so anytime, so if they were to say the supplementary angles are, and we'll go 2x minus 1 and 3x plus 6. All right, and it says, okay, solve for x. Well, supplementary is the key. So I have these two angles, and they should add to 180 degrees. So just pay attention to it, and so then I would combine 5x and then negative, so 3x and 2x gives me 5x. Negative 1, positive 6 gives me 5, and now I can solve from there. So I'd subtract 5, 5x equals 175, and then divide by 5. So x is equal to, as we look at it, so that would be 40, 35, as we look at it. So yeah, 35. And so then if it says what's the measure of the angle, I can plug it in. So I could actually plug it in. 2 times 35 minus 1. So that would be 70 minus 1. So this would be minus 1. So that would be 69 degrees. So one angle would be 69 degrees. And the other angle, and you could just subtract 180 minus 69, would be 111 degrees. So that's what we're looking for. That's as we go through, just paying attention to those keywords, supplementary or complementary. Vertical angles, remember, are congruent, and then we have the linear pair, the ones that form a line.